All right, everybody, welcome back. Good afternoon. We got some Pro Football Focus data to take a look at here. We're going to start with the offense. Going to do the defense either later today or tomorrow. We'll see. But you guys know the drill by now. We take a look at the various PFF charts, stats, and grades. The stats, always really, really good. The charts, always really, really good. The grades, sometimes seem good, sometimes not so much, but we roll with it. And sometimes we don't agree, and that's fine. And sometimes it seems clearly objectively wrong. And well, I mean, no one says they're perfect. So gonna start with the offense here, and right away we get what I would consider to be a surprise, although he did play well. Zach Charbonnet is your #1 ranked offensive player this week with a grade over 90. And I did think he played well. I don't know if I thought he was our best player on offense this week. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. If I had to guess, I would say he probably got a lot of bonus points because his runs converted some crucial first downs. And there were definitely some instances where he got more than there looked to be there. That's probably what it is. So pretty cool. Cody White, also kind of cool, 84.8. He might be out there running cardio most of the time, but he did convert a 3rd and long, which we do not do very often. And it does go to show that he's adding value to this team. And with the Bobo fall off, we kind of need it. Here's a big surprise to me because this was a guy who I did not think played well at all, really. Abe Lucas. To me, he was kind of one of the guys early in the game really getting whipped. And honestly, this is one of those instances where I think PFF is just off. And again, it's fine. Nobody's perfect, but I find it very hard to believe that Abe Lucas was our best offensive lineman and a top 3 player on the offense. AJ Barner, though, another good game for him, so that makes sense. 76.1 lines up. Ken Walker, I really liked what I saw from him, so 75.5 checks out to me. Bryce Cable do only 3 snaps. And then we have the big fall off, right? Everybody else is just kind of like blah. And look, the offense was not great yesterday, so blah is probably all they deserve, right? We had, not even 250 yards of offense. I think it might have been less than 220. So you don't deserve great grades with something like that, but JSN, just whatever. Charles Cross, kind of whatever. Interestingly enough, they love his pass protection, but they don't like his run blocking. So kind of volatile with what we're seeing there. Brady Russell, 1 snap. Drew Lock, 3 snaps. Nothing to say there. Cooper Kupp, whatever, just kind of there. Oluwatimi, workable. I will say that, workable, but not anything stand out. Josh Jones, only 4 snaps. Elijah Arroyo, just kind of there. Rashid Shaheed, still just kind of there. And then you have another drop off into the guys that PFF actually thinks were just bad. Myles Gaskin, only 3 snaps, and I mean, he got 3 garbage time carries. There's not much you can do with that, so whatever. I guess it's probably accurate, but doesn't mean a lot. Anthony Bradford, okay. He's getting memed on again, although this is fascinating to me. Excellent pass blocking grade, terrible run blocking grade, which I have a hard time consolidating that with what I saw out there yesterday. I think if anything, you would flip it. I think the pass blocking was a big problem. Run blocking, better. So I don't know. I don't know where this comes from, but I had to double check this a couple times to make sure that it was like Yeah, they really said he was a great borderline elite pass blocker yesterday. I don't know. And by the way, Gray's Able, they still hate him. They still can't stand him, I guess. 47. And they think he was terrible in pass pro and run blocking. So, I don't know. They're just not going to get behind him this year. And again, blind spots happen, but you can't tell me that Zabel's been this bad this year. Maybe he's not as good as some of the stats say. There's no way he's one of the worst players in the league. There's no way he's worse than Anthony Bradford. Robbie Oots, still pretty rough. I kind of just a trend at this point. Christian Haynes, and this is kind of the problem, guys, right? You have Christian Haynes here, the logical replacement for Bradford, argument to be made that he's worse. And the grade bears that out. They graded him worse. And then, of course, Nick's collar up. He gave up a sack in pass protection, so you're always going to get graded badly then. And Sam Darnold bringing up the rear. Kind of interesting. And I get it, right? Like, especially when you dig into some of the data that they have, I get it. I understand. But it's still kind of interesting. This grade might be worse. I don't know if it's worse than the grade he had against the Rams, but it's about the same. And there's no way Darnold was as bad in this game as he was against the Rams, I don't think. So, I don't know. I'm not saying Sam played good. I don't think that he did. But I think there are some extenuating circumstances this grade doesn't fully capture. So I don't know. I think this one might just have missed it a little bit. Now, when you dig a little bit deeper into what they thought of Sam Darnold, it kind of makes some sense. You've got 2 turnover-worthy plays and 0 big-time throws. So even though he only had the 1 turnover, remember, he had the 2 fumbles. His average depth of target was less than 4 yards, which is not Sam Darnold football at all, right? That's the opposite of what he's done all year. And 1 drop. I mean, you can't really say the receivers failed me here. You got 4 sacks on 11 pressures, which is a terrible ratio. So you can see how they got there. I don't know if the grade is necessarily warranted, but you can see why they arrived at that conclusion. And then you look at the passing chart and it becomes kind of obvious. It's like 0 passes thrown deep down the field. He attempted 1, completed 0. 2 passes thrown in the intermediate, only 1 completed. And then everything else completed behind or around the line of scrimmage. And even there, he was not super effective. It was okay, right? It was workable. Maybe a little bit better than typical it is for him, but when you're not doing anything down the field, it kind of makes sense how you could get to that really bad grade. Even though I don't know if it accurately reflects reality, you look at this and it's like, wow, that is not the Sam Darnold we've come to know this whole year. Receiving grade stuff, again, the only thing I really look at here is the slot percentage. And again, Cooper Kupp playing a majority of his snaps in the slot, barely though. And JSN, although he did actually get a decent number of snaps in the slot in this game, still by far getting a majority of his snaps out wide. So this is just who he is now, and it's great. And I love it. Now, one thing that happened this week that hasn't really happened in any other week. No targets for JSN against linebackers or safeties. Everything was against a corner. And there's more to it than just this, but I think this is part of the problem. JSN at his best when he's moving around, constantly getting matched up against other defenders. In this game, the only targets he got were against Isaiah Rodgers and Byron Murphy, which is that's the way the Vikings would draw it up. That's exactly what the Vikings would want if they could design an exact plan for a game against JSN. Rushing direction, pretty good, I guess. Like, we had a pretty decent amount of production to the left, and we also had some success over to the right. So the only issue was the middle left, middle right was kind of stagnant. Other than that, we at least got some forward motion when we ran the ball. And some of the inefficiencies we had, like some of the issues we had running the ball off left end, was because Charbonnet got a lot of those carries, and there's only so much that he can do with those outside zone carries. A lot of them are going to be fruitless, and It's just kind of it's a feature, not a bug, right? But 4.4, 4.3, 6.7 over here on the left side, and then on the right side, like the off right tackle 3.3, right end 3.7. That's at least I can do something with that. Now, it doesn't say much for Oluwatimi, I guess, if he's part of the run blocking that is failing. But overall, I look at this and I go, I can work with that. And I do think it offers some degree of consistency that while I don't know if it's worth the trade-off, I do think there has been a trade-off where this team has become less explosive and less effective in the passing game, but they have become more consistent in the run game and more dependable there. And I think that I don't know if it's a worth it trade-off, but it is the trade-off this team has made, and I don't necessarily think it's bad. I'll put it to you that way. Pass protection. So obviously there were problems in pass protection in this game, but you look at the numbers, 8 pressures allowed by offensive linemen. 8. That is really not bad. Really not. And nobody allowed more than 2 pressures. So even with some of the issues that we had, it was mostly concentrated to the first half and basically the first 25 minutes. It was not nearly as bad as I think that it looked. And by the way, I don't know if you guys can hear my dog, but sorry if you can. Nothing can stop him sometimes. But anyway, yeah, Abe Lucas, 2 pressures allowed. Gray Zabel, 2 pressures allowed. So I guess that's why he got dinged, although I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad. But you had 3 sacks given up, 1 by Charbonnet, 1 by Nick Collerup, and 1 by AJ Barner. So not even on the offensive lineman. So take that for what it is. By the way, and this is, I think, kind of an issue that Pro Football Focus has, 0 pressures are attributed to Anthony Bradford here, because I think kind of what happens, and I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but I'm also not being sarcastic. He's so far away from hitting the block, I think PFF kind of just treats it as like that wasn't his guy. Like it's not his fault, because, sorry about that, guys, had to go answer the phone, but yeah, I don't know, I feel like this is just kind of missing the reality of what actually transpired on the field while technically probably being correct. I don't know. I really think it's something like that. Like Bradford was so far away from what he was supposed to be doing that as far as PFF considers it, he was never supposed to do it. Because I have a very hard time reconciling this with what I saw on some of those plays yesterday. And it's not just me, and it's not even just us. Like the big meme pages on football stuff are all talking about this, about how inept he is. So I get it. Again, I'm not convinced that there's anything we can do about it right now, but maybe we'll be finding out in the next month or so. And that's really about it. Like, given how bad that game started, only 8 pressures allowed by offensive linemen is actually really good. None by Cross, so clean game for him, so that's cool. Clean game for Oluwatimi. And they actually didn't give any sacks to any offensive linemen. They just gave some pressures. I mean, it's really not too disagreeable. And run blocking, kind of interesting. We actually did about as much gap as zone-based blocking in this game. You look at Abe Lucas and Gray Zabel here, 16 and 16. So obviously it's matchup based. I'd be interested to know what the matchup is that they're seeing against a team like the Vikings specifically. I would have thought you wanted to do more zone against the Vikings with the way they play, but I can't say what they did failed, right? It did work what they did, I think. So I don't have a problem with it. All right, so that's it for the Pro Football Focus side of the offense. Interesting. Definitely not necessarily completely agreeable. I do think that they missed a couple of things here and there. Like, I don't think Lucas should be this high. I don't think Zabel should be this low. Even though I do agree, I do understand where they're coming from with the Darnold thing. I don't know if I think he should be this poor, but always interesting to look at every week. Okay, see you guys later. Gonna do at least one more video later today. We'll see what we're talking about, but see you then.